Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. Today's guest is a group of women who recently returned from a missions trip to Central America. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what I'm going to do is, since we're Zooming this, I'm going to actually let you introduce yourselves.
I'm Dina Dicena, and I am Pastor Mike's wife from the Morgan Church. Go ahead.
Tamara Perry, member of the Morgan Church, live in Morgan.
Kara Selby, member of the Morgan Church. I live in Morgan also. And Jeanette Birch. I am a member of the Morgan Church and I live in West Glover.
I'm Wendy Bronson. I live in Morgan and I will be an official member of the Morgan Church next weekend.
Nice. Yeah.
So let's start off by just saying, how did this trip come about? And was this part of the Morgan Church's mission?
Yes, we have been doing mission trips for at least 6 years ago. So we have gone several times. Some of us have gone repeated times. Some went for their first time last trip. And we are planning a new trip coming up in July. So we will be returning there in July 25th to August 2nd.
And that was to Guatemala?
And that trip was to Guatemala, true. So we have gone to Guatemala, different places in Guatemala to do mission work. When we go there, how about you? Tell them a little more.
Well, the last trip we went to, we were in Guatemala City. We visited children's homes. We went to the market. We gathered food, bought food to make food bags to deliver to a couple of outlying villages. And then we also delivered some bags of food to a local neighborhood near our host. The things that we do bring before we go, we collect basic medicines, your vitamins, aspirins, toothpaste, toothbrushes, things to bring to the children. Clothing, we brought enough clothing to bring to folks in the elder care home and also to the children's homes.
So so how did the trip go? Did it go off without a hitch, or is there, do these go pretty smoothly with immigrations and customs and such?
Well, the first time that you went to Guatemala, Dina, you and some other people, it was with another group. So this was our very first Morgan Church mission trip team. We have some great organizers in our group and know how to navigate difficult situations, but I think it went pretty smoothly. We had 24 suitcases that we brought over with clothing and supplies, as Tamara was just saying. Immigration is a process, but I feel like it went pretty smoothly. How does everyone else feel about that?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, it was, no problems.
Right. So what do the people you work with think about what you're doing, as in the recipients of your goodwill?
Mm.
By the smiles and the tears and the hugs, I think that they're very happy that we visit them and bring them things and bring them hope. I mean, one lady, we passed out postcards that a lady from our church made. It was an inspirational photo for her, and she wrote a little verse and things on the back to represent what she was feeling with this photo, and she wanted to share it. So she had a small team within our church translate it to Spanish and put it together, and we presented those to people, and I was the fortunate one to pass them out in the first little village. And one of the ladies that read the little verse on the back just looked at me and she said in Spanish, I told her in Spanish, God bless you. And she took my hands and said, no, God bless you.
Anybody else have similar stories?
I feel like we were very well welcomed. We had a couple who are our mission leaders over there, and they had organized the villages that we would be going to. And so we were well accepted into the community. And even after being there in one of the places that we were at, I believe that some of the people that from that community went out into the community and told more people to come,
Right.
to see what we were doing. I feel like we spread God's word in such a beautiful way and certainly touched some lives that I've never seen touched like that before.
They touched us as well. We were very touched by them.
Yeah, I think this is the beauty of mission trips. That is our hearts, our desire is to go to bring hope and a little bit of something, like, for example, clothing and medicines and food. But more than anything is to bring hope. And when we are there and we see the way that people live, the amount of need, that is something we can't grasp when we have been living in the United States always. And I know that sometimes we say, yeah, we also have needs here. And we do support many missions here in the United States and all over the world, other places like India and Africa and many places like that. And I think part of us going ourselves is, one is to put ourselves in the shoes of those who dedicate their lives to just do mission work, but also going ourselves, we have a better idea of what it's like being there for a week and seeing the poverty and seeing not just the poverty and lack of the main needs, basic needs like food and shelter, and which is one of the reasons this time when we go, we are raising funds this time to build hopefully a house for a family. Sometimes you see these little huts. It's not even a home, made out of cardboard and plastic and pieces of tin, and then there is 2 or 3 families living there. And there is people, literally, it's not just a picture, it's a real thing, getting food at the dump. So, which is another place we brought, last time we went, food to, we go to the market, as Tammy was saying, and we buy big amounts of food, let's say 100, 200 pounds of beans and salt and sugar and rice and all those things that are very important to them. And then we put them in smaller bags to bring to families, and including going to the dump and the people who are there and just bringing some food to them. So I think it does something else in our hearts. Yeah, we're trying to bring hope and give them something, but also makes us feel so much more grateful for whatever we have. But also the love and the gratefulness in their hearts makes us really, can somebody explain that? I'm always lost for words. What is that feeling? Why do we want to go year after year after you go once?
Well, I think for myself, when I first came back, everybody asked me, how was your trip? Like I had gone on vacation or something. And I would simply say, it was great. I was heartbroken and heart-warmed at the same time. As I processed things in the weeks after the trip, I felt more and more blessed by the things that we saw, the way that God provides for us to provide for them. I mean, this time there had been some monsoons before we went, so we dealt with like road washouts and things like that, which is abnormal for us in the past. Well, this was my first trip, but the girls had not really had to deal with that in the past. But for whatever reason, it's as though it was part of God's plan for us to do that. We had a young man who was with us he donated his time to help our hosts just take us around and make sure we were safe and had everything we needed. And we just became friends with him. I'm talking about Darwin girls, as though I have to say, but he found Jesus that week. He gave his life, he opened up and accepted Jesus into his life. And he said it was because of us, and he called us angels. What an honor.
Brings such a hope in somebody's life.
Yeah.
So when, because I get to deal with some foreign journalists over my time, they come here, they have a program that they're allowed to come to this country and to explore it with they have a tour guide, and I've got to deal with them over the years. And some of them tell me that Americans don't really get how good we have it compared to other countries. And back about a year ago, I met another fella. He wasn't a journalist, but he's lived in this country for, I believe, 20 or 30 years, and he's from the Sudan. And he was just telling me, he says, because he was telling me what a wonderful country this is. And he says, the only thing is we often don't understand how wonderful it is compared to what other people need to face. Do you agree?
So true.
Totally agree. I was born and raised in Honduras, which is another very, very poor country. And I came to the United States when I was about 18 years old. And every time when somebody says something about the country, this country, the United States, I often say, and my husband, poor guy, I say this so many times, he's like, yeah, you're right. I always say, the person should go and live in one of those countries for just 1 week. It will definitely change his or her mind,
right,
about talking about this country that way.
Right.
There is a reason why the whole world thinks United States is the greatest country, and I believe it is. But I think that part of our hope is that the community will understand that we are going, yes, for a short period of time, but a lot gets done. So many things have happened. Like, for example, we went this last time to visit an orphanage, and when I say to visit, we bring, like we were saying, suitcases of clothing and let's say 100 pounds of beans and 100 pounds of rice and stuff like that they need. So this orphanage is about 35 children, and they all have HIV. They are HIV positive. They all have AIDS, and it was beautiful to make a connection between that place and the person who helps us go around and do the work we like to do. And she's a physical therapy, and now she is serving those children at the orphanage. So go figure. It took us going all the way from here for them to connect, but now there is a beautiful connection happening there. So yes, we were there for, 10 days, but now these children are receiving services all the time from this missionary with, at no cost. So really beautiful things happen.
Any other stories that some of you others would like to share as well?
Well, when Dina was just talking about how our missionary over there, Ingrid, has this physical therapy. She's a physical therapist, and she has a clinic at the mission house. At the time that we were there, they were beginning to build a kitchen so that they could feed the children that they were treating and their families before they left the clinic. And she was short just a little, a certain amount of money. And she decided that she would donate the money that she had set aside for her surgery to go towards this mission kitchen. At the same time, when we found out that she had used her surgical money, we decided, well, let's see what money we have left over. And it was exactly the same amount that she needed for her surgery. Like, that is such a God incidence, to have the perfect amount of money for exactly what she needed.
That's good. And what else did some of you get out of this trip? Or is there any stories that were particularly heartwarming?
Tara, do you want to share the story of the family that we've talked about this week?
Boy, I hope I can. So I think one of the blessings when you go here is being invited. It's being invited into somebody's home to pray with them, to give them food, to bring them hope. And one of the homes, we had just gone to a village and played with the kids and did some dental care. It was on a rose plantation, which was absolutely amazing. When you look out over the landscape and you see just thousands of rows of beautiful roses as we came in. And it was as we were leaving this village that we were asked to go and meet with a woman who had just been diagnosed with throat cancer. So, her name was Sylvia. And I didn't know at the time just how rewarding that experience would be for me. It was terrible. I'm currently on my own medical journey, and I think that just being invited in to see how these people in Guatemala live, and it's a simple life, and it made me appreciate so much more of my own life here. And it helped me to see a different perspective. And I think it's just an honor when someone in Guatemala invites you to come in and pray with them. And it's a moment I will cherish. And as you can see, it's hard for me to talk about this trip without an emotional breakdown. So you might want to move on.
Right. Why do you particularly choose Guatemala?
I have gone on mission trips before. I went to Honduras, and I did want to go back to Honduras. That's what I'm from to begin with. But we were invited to go. My daughter, my daughter's coach, softball coach,
Dan Thompson.
Dan Thompson, who lives in Lindenville, invited us to go with him to this mission trip in Guatemala. So several of us from church, including my daughter, who has gone every time with me, we went in there, and it is. These countries are not that safe, but I can trust these people that helps us there. They keep us safe. They know where to go. They have everything prepared for us to have a safe trip. So that's how we began going there. So we went to this orphanage. It's a big orphanage. It has about 100 children there. They have they have their own school within there, because they get many children that are, I don't know, 10, 12 years old, have never been at school. So they don't want to send them to the public school. They just, educate them right there. They have different ministries in that at their orphanage. They have a ministry for teen pregnant girls, which teen pregnant are like 12, 13, 14 years old girls. They have another ministry for widows. And it's interesting because when we think about widows here, I think about, my mom, 80 years old, my dad passed away, but that's not the case there. They're young women with many children that are widows, because it's a violent country, and sometimes their husbands, I don't know, get killed, disappear, whatever. And so then there is this many ladies who are widows, and so they help them to learn how to make enough money, at least to bring food to their children. They have different, so many ministries that are so heartwarming. You just want to help. And this is a country that does not help orphanages like that one. They raise their own money. And so when teams like ours go, they are so appreciative, because we bring staff and help them keep the place going. A lot goes into these mission trips. We have to raise money. It's so many things. And so we are this year also at a smaller group, and a smaller team is going to Kenya, in Nairobi. There is a place there in Africa that we are supporting, and so we said we will go there. So I said, I go on mission trips every year, but I do not want to lead it. I don't want to have our own team, because it's just too much work. I got too many things going on. And when we came back from the last trip, I think we had right away at least 12 people ready to go from our own church, at least like right there.
Okay, well, I think we have to wrap up part one. Do each one of you want to share about 15 to 20 seconds to wrap this segment up?
I am so very grateful that I inquired about this trip. I've always wanted to go on this mission trip, but never able to. And when I inquired, I was immediately on this team and welcomed. And I don't know why God had to send me across the country to, or into another country to see his amazing work, but he definitely worked a lot in my heart that week.
Okay.
The women that went on this trip all together just worked hand in hand. I think that made my experience even 100% amplified from what I think it could have been. So I was very blessed to be a part of such a wonderful group of women that went.
I look forward to telling more stories and sharing and going back again, doing everything with a whole different perspective.
Thank you for coming on, and thank you for all of your good works. I know you've touched a lot of lives. Thank you to our viewers for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.